Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. We will be making a very easy beginner friendly top off the shoulder top. You won't need any pattern or tools. You'll just need a top you already own, a tank top that is fitting and stretchy, and some measuring tape because you will have to be measuring the circumference of your shoulders. You will need like 1 meter. I think 1 meter of stretchy fabric is enough. I used like a kind of velour kind of fabric, but you can use whatever. Basically, if it's just stretchy on one side, then that's enough. So to start, you're going to measure your circumference of your shoulders because we'll be cutting one square of 30 centimeters by the circumference of your shoulders. So for me, that is 111 centimeters by 30 centimeters. You're just gonna go ahead and cut that out of the fabric to start with, and then the second piece you're going to cut out is um, you're gonna outline the top you already own. I will show you. You will outline the top you already own, and you're gonna cut just following that line a little bit out of it so you have the seam allowance. Here you see me cut the square. I just put a mark at 30 centimeters from the edge for a few places, and then I cut along this marked line. Then just fold the fabric in two and place your top on the fabric. Pin it down so it can move around, and trace around the top with a fabric marker. Remove the top and cut about 1 to 2 centimeters around this marked line. Some fabrics are stretchy all around, but some are only stretchy one way. If yours is only stretchy one way, make sure it's horizontally, so from side to side. Now we are going to connect the bodice to the shoulder strap. We'll be doing this by creating a tube of the square and trapping the bodice inside of this tube. Before we can do this, we'll have to determine the right place for the bodice parts to be sewn in. And to determine this, put a mark at a quarter distance from both the sides, plus 1 centimeter. This is for seam allowance. And also put a mark in the middle of both bodice pieces. By placing these marks on top of each other, we have our determined places. Before we'll be placing our bodice pieces on the square, we have to roll them up, otherwise we can't make our tubes. Now align the marks, as I'm doing right here, and pin it together. Pin the rest of the bodice down as well. Do exactly the same for the other bodice piece, and now that they are placed correctly and are pinned down, you're going to fold the fabric over these rolled bodices. Align the sides and pin the layers of fabrics together. Remove the other pins, otherwise while sewing you can break or your sewing needle will break, so just remove them as you're placing the new ones. Now we'll be sewing these together with a straight stitch 1 centimeter away from the edge and a zigzag stitch on the far edge of the fabric. This little line on my sewing machine is 1 centimeter away from the needle, so I'm making sure the right side of my fabric is following this line. When you've completed the sewing part, you're gonna remove all the pins and just turn the tube inside out. Before we'll be sewing the bodice parts together, we'll have to hem the first 10 centimeters in order to create like an armhole for your armpit. So just mark at a 10 centimeter, and then you're gonna fold the edge inward and just sew this in place with a straight stitch to create like your little hem. Um, do this for all four sides, and then we'll be sewing the bodice together. It's easier to start sewing from the bottom side of the hem towards the shoulder piece, so that's just a little tip. After you've sewn in the four hems, you're gonna place the bodice pieces on top of each other, good size, facing each other. Then you're gonna make sure they're aligned properly. So just pin the hems together so you know that it's perfectly lined. I'm putting a pin horizontally to mark where the hem ends, because from here on downward, we're gonna sew these two layers of fabric together. You could also use a marker. That will probably be even better because um, I'm also pinning horizontally further down. But if you know from which point to sew, it's fine, since that's the only thing that's really matters. After pinning, just sew with a straight stitch 1 centimeter away from the edge. We'll also need to connect these two pieces, so just align them and pin them down, and then we're gonna sew 1 centimeter away from the edge with a straight stitch and with a zigzag stitch to finish off the raw edge. So I did end up cutting as close to the straight stitch as possible, and then finishing off with a zigzag stitch because I thought it would be prettier. Now we're already at our last step, which is hemming the bottom of the top. And since it's a stretchy top, we'll be using a very wide zigzag stitch. I don't have a stitch length. I only have a few options for stitch. So I'll show you which option I'm using. For the hem, I'm measuring 2 centimeters away from the bottom, and then I'm just folding inward and pinning it down. And afterwards, I'm sewing it in with the zigzag stitch. When I'm sewing something um, round, like a hole, an armhole, or in this case, the hem, I remove the front piece of my sewing machine so I can kind of insert the sewing machine into this hole so it can turn around while sewing. Just makes it a little bit easier. When sewing a stretchy fabric, make sure you're not pulling um, at the fabric, because then you will get like a lettuce hem or something, which could be pretty, but for this project, it's not really fitting. I wouldn't like it. So just gently guide the fabric while sewing. And then lastly, just remove all the pins and cut off the excess threads. And that's it. So as you can see, the hem is stretchy. It won't break when you're putting it on. Um, yeah, so that's it. I really like this project. This is how it ended up looking. I actually wear it tons of times, and I plan on making it in a ton of other colors and fabrics. I hope you liked it as well, and see you next time. Bye bye!